Way to go, 20. Thanks, Chief. Nice job.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In 2006.
Nice and loud. Can you step over?
Yeah, could you step down?
I'll sit out. Great. Thank you.
In 2006, we were handed a ruling right here in this courthouse
Can you go louder?
that we believed was not only wrong on the law, but improperly put political considerations ahead of public safety and the safety of firefighters. Convinced that this ruling would endanger the lives and safety of firefighters everywhere, the New Haven 20 resolved to do everything possible to try to get that ruling overturned. In the process, in this very long, arduous process, these men became a symbol for millions of Americans who have grown tired of seeing individual achievement and merit take a backseat to race and ethnicity. We had, one might say, the audacity of hope that some court, at some point, would enforce the letter and the spirit of the civil rights laws, accord to firefighters the recognition and respect that they deserve for their heroic and dangerous work, and reject attempts to lower the professional standards of competence for the sake of identity politics. Today, the Supreme Court did all of that for us, and we could not be more relieved or more delighted.
You know what happens now, Karen? What happens with their promotions? What do you do now?
I think the opinion is quite clear that not only should the district court not have granted the city summary judgment, but should have granted these men summary judgment back in 2006. So the justice that they sought was delayed, but they're finally going to get it. We were just so happy. You know, it's been a very long journey, and we never really felt that the claims that we raised were given serious consideration, and we certainly didn't feel that the civil rights laws that are supposed to protect everyone in this country was being interpreted in that manner. And we were hoping to not change the civil rights laws, not get a new interpretation of them. We always believed that the civil rights laws as they existed protected these men from such blatant race discrimination. And all we saw was a court ruling that recognized that fact. It took us a long time to get it, but we got it, and we're extremely happy about it.
Mr. Ritchie, can we hear from you? Your reaction?
I think that this is just proof positive that people should be treated as individuals and not statistics. And that won out at the Supreme Court today. And all 20 of these guys worked hard to study, to apply themselves at work, to read trade magazines, to take classes on their own time. They're all heroes, and they stood up not knowing where they were on these exams. We all took this position not knowing if we would be promoted. So I think it's phenomenal that everybody stepped forward and took this position because the exams were valid. And if you work hard, you can succeed in America.
Is this an indication?
This ruling is a vindication for all New Haven 20 and the rest of the country.
What do you want to see the city do now, Frank?
The right thing. Make promotions.
Karen, do you expect not only promotions, They've been in limbo for years, you guys.
Well, we're going to be seeking the full package of rights and remedies that these men are entitled to. That will come at a later time. Of course, right now we're just enjoying the absolute pleasure of having our position vindicated and giving some hope, actually, to all those firefighters and police and teachers and other employees in the civil service who feel that their worth, their education, their skills doesn't matter. And all that matters in this country so far is identity-based politics. And I think today we're struck a blow against that and in favor of truly American ideals, which is no matter what your race or what your ethnicity, gender, or where your grandparents came from, everyone is to be treated with dignity and respect and have their individual achievements honored. And I think this decision today goes a long way towards restoring that dream in this country.
Karen, do you feel this decision went further than you expected?
Well, no. We were hoping for this kind of decision, and so I wouldn't say we're surprised. We thought the law was pretty clear. We thought the facts and the evidence were clear. So we're very pleased that the court agreed with us.
When you say the full package,
well, Justice Alito's opinion, I think, was a pleasure to read, and the justice certainly had an extraordinary command of the facts and the evidentiary record in this case. And it's really a pleasure, actually, to see any judge or justice really take the time to be that familiar, knowledgeable about the facts and evidence. That takes a lot of work, and we're certainly pleased to see that the court took the time to be very careful to get it right, get it accurate.
when you say the full package of rights and remedies, what specifically is available?
There's a number of things, but that's all statutory, and I'd rather not get into that now.
Mr. Ritchie, when you took this job, when you took the job, sir, did you ever envision you'd have to go through this over these last couple of years? Did you ever think you'd have to fight this fight when you first became a firefighter?
Well, we all fought this fight together, and that's the beautiful thing about America is that if you want democracy, you have to participate in it. And everybody that stands on these courtroom steps today, including our attorney, Karen Torrey, we participated in democracy, and we're proud to be here today.
And you may have mentioned it. What was your first reaction when you heard the decision this morning?
We were overwhelmed. I mean, it was tremendous.
You guys, are you any concerned about, when you guys are thinking probably some of you go on shift tonight, any concern about what it might be like in the houses?
No, not at all, because everybody here has overwhelming support throughout the firehouses for this case. So people understand they want the most qualified fire officers to lead them.
Any of the other firefighters want to speak? Anybody want to say?
Matthew Marcarelli. I'm a lieutenant and was prospective captain. I was overjoyed, elated, humbled at the same time, knowing that early on in the case, we learned that it wasn't just the 20 of us that were fighting this battle. It was firefighters across the country and public safety in general that want to put this stuff to bed. Hopefully we struck a significant blow to that. And we have the United States Supreme Court, as it's made up, to thank for that. Because that's what truly came to that judgment.
Can you talk about where you were when you heard the decision, and were you all together or were you at home?
We were all together.
Where?
Yeah. We decided early on this morning that we should all meet together with our families and be here when the decision came in.
We took the bad news together from Judge Arterton in the Court of Appeals, so we wanted to take the good news together too.
What do you think will happen to you personally?
The truest vindication is the day that we're all going to get pinned our badges on, captain and lieutenant badges that we were entitled to, based upon what the court said. That'll be the ultimate vindication for all of us to set things right.
Now, was it worth it? It was years you guys waited.
It was worth it, every minute of it. Right, guys?
Karen, does this specifically mean that
here on in, no city can throw out a test if it doesn't achieve the results they're seeking? Is that the precedent?
Well, I think the import of the decision is that cities cannot bow to politics and pressure and lobbying by special interest groups or act to achieve racial quotas. I think the import is that, consistent with existing law, if the test is job-related, especially in a dangerous occupation, then the fact that more African Americans pass, or more Hispanics pass, or more whites pass, isn't a sufficient grounds to ignore the results of an occupational test. I think that's clearly the import. And the fact is that modern day occupational testing is so sophisticated. It's not 30 years ago, 40 years ago, where employers would have these illegitimate, literacy tests or irrelevant criteria. The entire testing industry has pretty much arisen around the need to make sure that tests are job related. So in cities across the country, where what happened to the age of 20 has been happening to firefighters and police all over the country, I think that's going to come to an end, as it should.
But do you think there's some precedential value beyond just public servants? Will this affect other types of employment law as well, from your reading of it?
Yes, it will.
How?
Well, because it doesn't just apply to fire department exams. It applies. It's an interpretation of Title VII.
Now, I don't know if you said it already. I'm sorry. Did you gotten a response from the mayor or from the city at this point? What's the response have been?
No.
I know he's going to speak.
I could take a week off. Say hi.